Green Man! 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 Holy YouTube video, Green Man!
Hello once again, it's Friday. It's time for me to go through a couple of my birthday books. These are books that came out the same month as I did, September 1969. Hence, I call them my birthday books, and it's been my mission to try and collect them all. It's quite awkward because some of them are quite expensive. Right, let's get these so they're not so glary. Right, so today we're going to go through Captain Marvel, number 16. We're going to go through The Invincible Iron Man, number 17. And GI Combat, number 137. So right, still got a bit of glare going on. You've got to stand them up so they don't get the glare. See, they're all about the angles when it comes to glare. All about the angles. They look about much better. Right, now let's start off by going through Captain Marvel. Alright, so Captain Marvel at last, face to face with the Intelligence Supreme. Still got that blinking glare. Right. It's a bit hard, I'm leaning right over to be able to do this. Right, so Behind the Mask of Zoe. Right, yeah, it's been a while since I've read it actually, and I'm a bit rushed for time to actually, I was going to reread it and then do a little bit of a synopsis about it. Normally I write the synopsis in the blog first, but I've forgotten. So yeah, basically this is him in his original suit. He actually changes his suit in this one, so I suppose that makes it a key issue if changing suits is a thing that is can be considered key. Because I've got another, I've got Brave and the Bold from the same month, where it's the first showing of Green Arrow's new costume, you know, the one that he still wears to this day. So yeah, Captain Marvel, you know, the old green costume here. I think the basic idea is that he'd broken against the Kree Empire, but he'd been misled by his handler, and also Ronan the Accuser apparently is also part of this plot to oust the Supreme Intelligence, I believe. So he's going to destroy this machine, which is going to destroy Tambor. Yeah, Tambor, I think is the name of the machine actually. It's been a while, but I think the machine was dangerous. It was gonna blow up and kill somebody or something. So he goes in to try to destroy it. Right, yeah, there he is, attempting to destroy this monstrous machine. But a great power, it is worse than I feared. Tambor is no natural phenomenon gone berserk, nor an insidious alien plot. It is as though someone had mechanically reproduced Earth's magnetic North Pole, increasing its strength 1,000-fold, and the construction is unmistakably Kree of recent design. But what man of the Kree would intentionally arrange the destruction of our own solar system? That's it, it's going to destroy the solar system. And as he's trying to destroy it, along comes Ronan, the Public Accuser he's called here. I always known him as Ronan the Accuser, but apparently this time he's Ronan the Public Accuser. So yeah, maybe they just thought, yeah, that's a little bit of a long title. Well, just shorten it to Ronan the Accuser. So they have a knock-up, beat-em-up, drag-em-out kind of battle. Captain Marvel is pretty much overpowered. He hasn't got the strength to take on the might of Ronan the Accuser. I am the Public Accuser, Captain. There is nothing I must do but execute you now. Yeah, because he's trying to reason with him, saying, look, this thing is going to destroy the blinking solar system if you don't blinking help me to destroy it. And he's like, no, you are a traitor to the Kree. All I'm interested in is killing you. But then when it looks like he's down and out, my victim still breathes. The protective energy shield radiated by my weapon must have also reached him. Best he make each breath last, for these are the last for the Kree called Captain Marvel. And then, yeah, someone wakes up and is this Carol Danvers? Yeah, it's Carol Danvers. So this must be shortly after she got in. I think there was an explosion. Because she was a US Air Force captain or something like that. I'm not sure she was a captain, but she worked for the US Air Force, and there was an explosion. Somehow the DNA of Captain Marvel, the Kree, got mixed in with her DNA, which is what eventually gave her powers. I'm not sure if she's actually powered yet in this comic. It looks like she's just coming out of hospital. So I'm assuming it must be shortly after she got caught in the explosion. Right, and this is Colonel Yon Rog, who I think was Captain Marvel's handler, but I think he was basically giving him false information and sort of turned him into a Kree traitor kind of thing. So I've got to admit, I've not read an awful lot of Captain Marvel. This might be the only Captain Marvel book that I actually own, to be honest. Right, so anyway, for some reason he's taken in front of the Supreme Intelligence. Yes. I'm trying to remember, it was all cosmic this and blinking celestial that, and it all gets a bit over the top from my remembrance. But basically, it turns out the Imperial Intelligence, Supreme Intelligence, has been watching him and saying that you have been led against us. You have been fooled into becoming a traitor against the Kree, and the people who are leading you was this Colonel Yon-Rogg and Ronan the Accuser. They're actually traitors, and they've led you down this traitorous path. I'm not even sure who's fighting now. The Super Sentry. Is it Ronan fighting the Super Sentry? I think it is, because he's... yeah, basically at the end he gets that costume there. You see, he's got the new costume of Captain Marvel. My uniform, even my battle helmet, both have been totally, almost miraculously transformed. You may no longer wear the garb of an ordinary warrior, for you have been honoured by the Supreme Intelligence himself. Yet though I honour your bravery, your sympathies for Earth make it impossible for you ever to advance beyond your present rank. Now, and for all your life, you shall be Captain Marvel. There you go. So he's kind of like stuck on the captain. He's hit the glass ceiling in the Kree army, and he's now a captain because he's got too much sympathy for the planet Earth. I think the idea is he's supposed to be going to planet Earth to conquer it, but I don't know quite what happens there, because this is the only one I've got. I'm not sure how long Captain Marvel ran for as a title, actually. I'm thinking for some reason 50 jumps in my head, around the 50 mark. I don't think it went on for much longer than that. And of course, he famously was the protagonist of the very first Marvel Comics graphic novel, wasn't he? The Death of Captain Marvel was the very first graphic novel released by Marvel, I believe, by Marvel Comics. And obviously, the death of Captain Marvel was exactly what it said on the tin. Not one of these guys who's ever come back to life again. So they have Carol Danvers assuming the mantle of Captain Marvel. Anyway, so he's going to be supposed to be teleported to Earth to go and find this Yon-Rogg, this traitor who led him astray. But for some reason, something goes wrong. Hold, something is happening to me. Even as the Earth lies within my sight, I feel strange as I did once before, in the moment that the Negatron sphere exploded. No, can it be? I'm fading away like some fleeting phantom. At last I know what is happening. I've been hurled bodily into that realm from which no power shall ever deliver me. The dreaded anti-cosmos that men call the Negative Zone. The Negative Zone. That's it, and that's the comic. That is the comic. He's in the negatives. He's in the negative zone, which is even worse than the friend zone. Okay, so that was Captain Marvel number 16. 1 old pence. If you can see that in the corner there. 1 old pence, that was. Right, obviously you can't see this to that way. There you go, you can see it now. But anyway, let's move on to the next comic. Next up we have the Invincible Iron Man, the beginning of the end. Yeah, not a bad little one, this one. Let's just zoom out a little bit. Yeah, an interesting reading. Well, again, it's 1 old pence UK variant. Yeah, 1969. That's when the currency in the UK changed from imperial units to decimal, wasn't it? So we went from like 12 pence to a shilling, to changing to 5p's, 10p's, £1, that kind of thing. I'm not quite sure what it was before that, because I say I wasn't hardly even alive then, so I'm not too sure how it worked. I think it might have been the month that I was born that it changed over. I'm not sure. I'm not really. Well, obviously, I wasn't around then. I know it was sometime in 1969. So it starts off as getting struck by lightning. It turns out this guy's inside this ship hiding in the cloud that's throwing lightning bolts at him, trying to knock him down, basically. There's an explosion at Stark Industries. This is important. Right now, the person responsible for the sending these lightning simulator craft after him is this Madame Mask, I believe. Yeah, there she is, Madame Mask. Now she's got Tony Stark's cousin or something, or yeah, it's his cousin, Morgan Stark, I think his name is, and he's given them inside information about Tony so they can try and usurp him, try and get his company off of him. And the person who's trying to do it is a criminal who from that explosion that we saw, Tony Stark emerges, even though he's actually flying off in his Iron Man armour. Now this turns out to be an LMD, one of them life model decoys. Somehow it's reactivated itself from the explosion, where I think they were originally made by S.H.I.E.L.D., or maybe Stark made them originally, I'm not too sure. But I think they're a little bit faulty, a little bit on the fritz, and they're not to be trusted. If you saw the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season, you know, the life model decoys, didn't one of them end up being the main villain for a whole season? Right, that's just some love interest going on there. Right, Madam Mask's kicking Morgan Stark's butt for, like, you know, not giving good enough information so that they can, you know, so her master, her boss can get what he wants. And this is her boss, Midas. His name is Midas, and he's another one of my birthday pals, basically. He's another character that debuted in this issue. So this is the very. I don't think he was an ongoing character for too much, but obviously I think he was like he's not sort of in the pantheon of the greatest villains that Iron Man has ever faced, that's for sure. Don't think he was too much of a recurring villain, but I could be wrong. But that's him, Midas, anyway, sitting there in his chair. He wants the golden touch, basically. He wants money. He's he wants to amass as much money as he possibly can. He's just a complete greedy tyrant, and he sits in his chair, which fires blasts at people and so forth, and he's threatening Morgan Stark, saying, you know, I better have your loyalty, you better give me information to make sure that I can, you know, get Tony Stark's wealth. I want his company, it will be mine, I'm going to be the richest person in the whole of the world. That's kind of his raison d'etre, the accumulation of more money. He's just a totally greedy son of a gun, basically. His greed goes from food all the way to money. Greedy in all ways, this Midas is. Right now, after he got zapped by the lightning bolts, Tony Stark in his armour was landed in the desert. He must have a little bit of a fritz out and collapsed in the desert. Right, he goes back to his company to find out that Tony. Right, so he goes back into his normal out of his armour, and he goes back into his office, and it turns out that he's already in his office. That life model decoy has come to life. The electrical storm, or something, living live electrical equipment fell on him or something like that, and he basically, the LMD reactivated, and he's saying, I am Tony Stark, this is my office, you're an imposter, and that kind of thing. And he's got his own armour as well, his own spare armour that he's picked up. So now the life model decoy has got the drop on the real Tony Stark, basically. Tony tries to make a grab for a weapon, but it's not enough. It's not enough. Yeah, you see Iron Man just like laughs it off. You think Tony would know that, really, wouldn't you? You think Tony Stark, the inventor of the armour, would know what he could take. Not without a fight. He goes, fight? How? There's nothing on that wall that can begin to equal your greatest invention. This armour I wear, as you can readily see. So Tony gets the tar beaten out of him. He steals his armour out of his suitcase, but he leaves him with his breastplate so he doesn't die, so his heart doesn't have a heart attack. And then he gets his own security to kick Tony Stark out of his own industries, Stark Industries. So he says he's a fake. So he's ended up living on the streets. Oh yeah, he messes with all his stuff as well. He tells the Avengers that he's an imposter, so they don't believe it's him. He stops all his credit cards, so he doesn't believe it's him. They changes the record of his signature, so he can't even sign for money in the bank to get money out. So basically he's destitute out on the streets now in the pouring rain. So even though Midas hasn't managed to steal his money, he still hasn't got anything because it's all gone, basically. Yeah, so he even has to break into a car to get some car battery to charge up his his breastplate to stop his heart from stopping, and that's when the police turn up. So he's not only is he gone from riches to rags, he's now in trouble with the law. So he has to make some sparks fly from the engine that he was jump starting his heart with to scare the cops off. Right, then this guy up here, I can't remember what his name was. Did it say there? Vic. Apparently he comes back as like here he's just like a bystander reporting Tony Stark to the cops for sort of breaking into a car, and later on apparently he's used again in like a daredevil or something like that, and he gets I think he was stealing cars or something like that. He's stealing something, because I looked it up on the Marvel wiki. I was quite surprised to find the character was used again. Right, so turn a couple of pages. Basically in just one issue, Tony Stark has gone from being Iron Man and like a industrialist with lots of money to being destitute, on the run from the law. The police are shooting at him. It's a bit OTT if you ask me, just for blinking stealing some electric from a car battery. But so he does a runner, thinks he's getting away, and then suddenly he gets gassed, shot with a gas pellet. Let's zoom in a little bit. So he thinks he's getting away. He's in front of his own Iron Man poster. He gets gassed and carried off by Madame Mask. Signal Midas, the mission is a success. I have the latest pawn for his game of greed. And in the next issue, even a hero can die. Spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure he doesn't die, because Iron Man goes for quite a lot of issues. I've read this in the 90s and it's still Tony Stark Iron Man. So yeah, he doesn't die, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, it's interesting how he's gone. And it's just this one issue from being, a billionaire industrialist with his own corporation and his power armor, to being, destitute on the streets, reduced to stealing electricity from a car to keep himself alive, basically. And that's it. At the end of that issue, he is in dire straits indeed. And it's also the first issue where that Midas, I can't remember, it's Morgan Midas or Mordecai Midas, I can't remember what his name is. He don't actually say it there, but I know Midas is in his full name. I'm sure I remember him having a first name as well. But anyway, let's just go on to the next book. So here we are, The Haunted Tank in GI Combat. Quite impressed. This came double bagged, actually. I've never had a double bagged book before. I don't think it's any more valuable or anything, but I'll keep it in the 2 bags since that's how it came. Right, so as you can see on the front, you got to lead us to safety, kid. We can't see. So these are the inhabitants, the crew rather, of the Haunted Tank have become blind, and they're being led by this little kid here. I think they're in the North African arena, whatever it's called. Right, at the beginning, to see sightless eyes stare unblinkingly as Lieutenant Jeb Stewart and the crew of the Haunted Tank follow their silent escort over the labyrinth rooftops of the African Casbah. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's North Africa, like Morocco, something like that. Now, what happened? Right, so they're in a battle. They're blind in a battle, fighting these Nazis. Obviously, this one guy here is this one Nazi has been wounded in the face. He's got bandages wrapped around his face, and it goes back to show us what happened exactly. Zoom in a little bit. So hard when I do this video in here because I'm actually just sitting on the bed doing this. You probably saw the pillow in the background there. Right, so let's just So what happened? They encountered an airman. I think it was a British pilot being. So this is they're having a fight. This kid who's been leading them around is basically giving them instructions, like he's kind of coaching them, like, punch to the left, punch to the right, he's behind you, that kind of thing. So literally they're flailing out blindly, just being led by this kid on what to do. Right, so they first encounter this kid. He's being bullied by some locals. So they sort of jump in and rescue him because they don't have any truck with bullies. So they give these locals a good pasting who are messing around with this kid. And he says, "Oh, I'm indebted to you," and he gives them his only possession, which is this songbird, who they take with him. And then later on, they see this British pilot being shot at by a Nazi pilot. So they do their best to rescue him. They shoot I think they shoot the Nazis right on the nose, Rick. But the British guy's going down. His chute opens, but he's mortally wounded. But before he dies, and they bury him, he tells them about this mission that he's got. "I'm on a mission to destroy a hidden Nazi poison gas dump in the Elmira ruins. It's got to be blown before they get desperate enough to use it on our troops." So they goes, "Okay, guys, we'll get on and we'll do that." I'm not quite sure what the missions of the Haunted Tank are. Are they just like a random tank unit allowed to go wherever they like and make up their own missions. It seems to be the case. You'd think they'd have bosses telling them what to do, like, you know, generals and so forth, but they just seem to, like, wander wherever they please. So yeah, they're out on their own, and they decided, that's it, that will be our next mission. We're going to sort out this poison gas dump. Right, they get into a fight with a Nazi Goliath, as it's named here, Sturm Tiger tank. I know a band called Sturm Tiger, black metal band from London. Right, anyway, yeah. Right, now they blow up the dump, but I think they use phosphorus or something like that, and so, something explodes. Magnesium. There must have been a magnesium catch. Hold on to one another, or we'll never get out of here. And they've all basically gone blind from the magnesium flash. We don't know if it's temporary blindness or whether it's permanent blindness. But bearing in mind, they're probably in the next comic. Well, yeah, you know it's only temporary. But the Nazis that are in the dump that they blew up are basically tailing them. This guy who had the bandages on in the first scene, he's got, you know, damage to half his face. They head towards the village. Their deaths will stop the pain in my face. Only their deaths. So that's when we get back to the rooftop. When they're fighting on the rooftop there, in the battle. The eyes start to, the blindness wears off. Basically, the blindness wears off. They can see again, and now they can see properly. They're able to take out the Nazis with their fists. The boy gets shot. Ali was his name. He gets shot in the ensuing battle. Fortunately, he doesn't die. He's just wounded. So you see later on he's been shot in the arm, so he's okay. They give him back his songbird because they say that, you know, you've saved our life, so we owe you now. You can have your bird back. Thanks for, you know, looking out for us and all that kind of thing. He sings of the happiness that is found when friends help one another, Lieutenant. Maybe someday the whole world will discover your bird secret and there'll be no need for war ever again. That's what the Jeb says from the Haunted Tank. And I think that is the end of the... No, there's a backup story. I forgot about that. Right, and here is my mate Abel, another one of my birthday buddies. Abel from the House of Secrets. He debuted September 1969, same as I did. Right, now we got this battle album. The centre spreads of all this, the war books at this time. We're getting these, like, kind of... what they call battle albums. Just telling you about some of the... equipment and weapons of war. So here we've got a little bit about the Sherman and the Panther tanks. Armour at war. Right, then we've got a second story. I haven't read the letters in this one. There was quite a poignant letter in the last war book that I read. But anyway, story of a boot. That's it. I remember this one now. So this reporter is going along, sort of basically talking to soldiers. We actually get the story from the boot's point of view. He's not really talking, it's just an imaginary kind of... by the way, there's a little cartoon there. I remember reading that cartoon, but yeah, I have to go back and read that one again. I remember seeing that. Yeah, so this report was going around talking to soldiers, you know, what's your story? But this soldier is totally tuckered out and he just falls asleep. So the battle-worn GI sleeps, but if his boot could talk, this is the story it would tell. It's a funny little idea. But yeah, it's cool. So that he's like basically just going about his soldierly duties, getting shot at by Germans. I think the boot gets shot at one point. So he's got dust in his boot or sand in his boot or something from, yeah, plaster dust shifting from above and goes into his boot. Then he finds an enemy button, makes him think that there must be some enemies nearby for some reason. And then he manages to, as he jumps out of bed to grab his gun, the button falls into the boot. And then he manages to take out the enemies that, try to shoot him at that point. And later on, the boot gets hit. So he finds an old map on a wall and uses it to he stuffs it inside the boot to basically stop the water from getting in, to give it a bit more sort of protection. I suppose he's going to have to get some new boots, really. But that's it. Yeah, that's the story. That's it. That was it, really. If a boot could talk, yeah. There you go. This will cover the hole in my soul. That's really stuffs an old map inside the boot. That's the story how the plaster, the button and the map got inside of me, says the boot in the last one. And he trudges off. But as he started slogging forward again, the reporter thinks that GI must have been combat happy to say there's a story in his boot. But yeah, there was a story in his boot. How the plaster got there, how the button got in there, and why there was a map in there, basically. So that was it. There's another little story, another little couple of cartoons there at the back. a couple of frogmen with some frogs thinking they're their parents, and some guy weighing an anchor in that one there. Right, so that was it. That was my 3 birthday books for this week's little video. I really need to try and record these at home where I've got I can put them on the table better rather than lying out on the bed, because I can't really sort of concentrate on stretching for the comics at the same time as looking at the camera. It makes it look very tricky. I've got lots of glare there, but that's them. That is my birthday books for this week. I'll be back next Wednesday showing you, well, counting some more of my comics, and back next Friday going for some more of my birthday books. So cheers for watching. I'm out of here. Oh yeah, if anyone sees this on Tuesday, I'm apparently going to be guesting with Comic Geek McD and JPL Flash Comic Geekdom on their, what do you call it, their, what do they call them things? Their live feed, that's it, their group chat live feed. So I'll be on there blathering away and probably getting tongue-tied and sounding like a complete twerp on there as well. So yeah, join us for that, and yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Bye!